Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Basement Ballers. I hope you guys have all been enjoying your week and you've managed to catch up on our previous episodes. Last week we did
Ballon d'Or.
Ballon d'Or. We did also Best 11.
Best 11, yes.
So if you guys enjoyed those videos, make sure you dropped a like and are ready for this week's video, which is about hot takes, but specifically going into next season, sort of predictions that might get your mind thinking a little bit. And so we got a couple for you today, and we encourage all viewers and followers to drop their hot takes in the comments, and maybe, you never know, your hot take could be in one of our future videos, and we'll definitely give you a shout out if that's the case. But without further ado, Brahim, let's start off with hot take number one.
So, hot take number one, invented by yours truly, right, is I believe that Real Madrid will never win anything major with Vini and Mbappe in the same front three. Why do I think this? Because they're both left wingers masquerading as a striker and a left winger. Okay, they both play on the same wing. They both like to cut inside. They both like to have the ball. And Vini right now is stalling on a contract renewal at Madrid, meaning Vini's clearly pissed off. He finished second in the Ballon d'Or, which most people would say he should have won it. And since then, he said he's going to do it 10 times more. He became 10 times a worse player. And I don't know if that's strictly because of Mbappe, but we can't ignore the correlation, so to speak, that Mbappe joins Madrid, makes them worse, and then simultaneously makes PSG better since they won the Champions League.
No, I hear what you're saying. I think you could also see it on the pitch to an extent where like Mbappe's expecting a pass from Vini, it just doesn't come. And I think there's a problem when you have these big egos that clash. Two players that want to be the best for their teams, that want to be legends of their respective clubs. And then those egos are clashing because obviously, in their position, they want to be the guys responsible for winning the Champions League for Real Madrid, or the guys responsible.
They want to be on the 433 Instagram posts.
100%, exactly. So it's about Vini, I want to create some magic. Mbappe, I want to create some magic. I want the headlines. I want the PR.
This new generation, bro. It's that aura farming bullshit. This that new generation, bro. Y'all just like the aura farm.
You just have Jude Bellingham in the corner tucking in his shirt, thinking he's fucking Zidane. So listen, it's a club full of aura farmers, but specifically, I would say I agree with that, and I think, to be honest, I feel like maybe unless you're a Madrid fan, you can definitely see where you're coming from, because we've seen that it didn't work in the first season, and mind you, maybe people will argue that you got to give it more time, maybe a new manager, whatever. But I also saw in the Club World Cup, when these two players were working together, quote unquote working together, the attack would just stall. There would be no flow, and it was overall disjointed. So I can see them. I don't know if I would say they're not gonna. You said major trophy?
Yeah, like a league or a Champions League. I don't think, just because the only way it could work. So there is like a caveat to this. The only way this could work is if Madrid signed a target man, like a striker, and they put Mbappe as the right winger. You have Vini as the left winger, and Mbappe as the right winger, and they got a striker. Then maybe it could work. But also Vini and Mbappe don't track back, which is like Vini used to track back a lot. That was one of the things that people used to praise him for. And just like I told you, since he lost the Ballon d'Or, I don't know, something in his mind just switched off. Like he's just not tracking back, looks disgruntled, looks like uninterested half the time. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw this post, and obviously I try to be a bit wary of the things I see on Twitter, especially from a specific Real Madrid Twitter page called Madrid Zone or something. But talking about Xabi Alonso has made it very clear what every player's role is going to be for the club moving forward, and some players are not happy. Whether that's true or not, it's probably a bunch of BS to push the whole Madrid is undergoing change narrative.
And also, I don't think with the players they have, specifically Mbappe and Vini, I don't think because the issue is, I think the best coach they probably could have had was an Ancelotti, because I don't think they're going to be able to. They're not really players you drill with tactics the way Alonso's probably going to want them to. I don't feel like they're those kinds of players. So personally, I don't feel like Alonso's going to have a tricky time with them, bro.
Yeah. Maybe first season, or I think what will inevitably happen is maybe they'll start to click somewhere in the middle there. and then they'll start to play like good football. But I think it'll take so long for them to get to that
It'll
point.
be too late.
It'll be too late. And Barcelona, because they're already clicking, Barcelona have made loan signing in Rashford. They got Joan Garcia, but in terms of core, Barcelona haven't changed much. And I don't know how much you've been keeping track about intended targets or whatever, but I just don't foresee Barcelona changing too much before the start of the season.
Well, Barca didn't need to change much. What they needed is pretty much what they got. They need a goalie. They need a left winger. They got both. Maybe as a defender would be a nice addition, but outside of that, Barca didn't need to add much, and the players they added complement the core already,
100%.
so it works.
And so,
fine.
to that point, I feel like that's a squad that's already kind of knows how to work together, and they play very good football. So unless somehow teams start to figure out that Hansi Flick high line, and maybe that is the case, I don't know, but I just feel like they're still poised to be the best in Spain at least, and poised if injuries kind of favor them a little bit more this time, poised to make a good run in the Champions League. But you never know. But yeah, listen, I think overall I would say I agree with that, but let us know in the comments what you think of take number 1. Let's move on to take number 2, Brian.
I know. Take number 2 is that Ruben Amorim will be sacked before Christmas.
I think Ruben Amorim is a overhyped manager, because the reason why I say that is whenever a new manager comes into a club, the idea is you give him time to implement the system, whatever. And that's all fine and dandy, but I didn't really see a system especially suited to the players that he had, which obviously not his fault. But through this transfer window, he has obtained Mateus Cunha and he's obtained Mbeumo, two attackers, which, mind you, sure, maybe they'll help sort of increase output, right? But there's still, I think, a very glaring issue in their midfield. You have Bruno, who, okay, sure, can create for you, but I don't see a proper tempo setter in that team to help control, like take control of games. And I think that their fullback pairing is, quite frankly, I mean, Dorgu's good, but I think it's a little lackluster.
That's horrible. It's a Dorgu, and who do they got?
Adalo?
Because they're gonna be doing. Because what they might do is they might do a 3-5-2 where they put, let's say, Dorgu as a wing back, then they put Ahmad as the right wing back. And the thing is like.
But then you need ball playing center backs.
Well, Euro and Delict are pretty decent on the ball. I mean, they have. I'm assuming the third center back will be Lissandro Martinez when he's back.
Lissandro or Maguire.
Or Maguire or something like that. Like they have ball playing center backs, quote unquote. Are they the best? No, but the issue with United is just like they finished 15th last year. They also lost in the Europa League final to Spurs, mind you. And the thing is, United needed a massive overhaul, but they can't do that because their owners are broke apparently because they have to cut staff every 2 seconds. They're having to do all these things. They're having to loan out Rashford because they don't want to pay his wages and whatever. So my thing is. The reason why I see him getting sacked is not necessarily like his fault, but United finished 15th last year, and like I said, lost the Europa League final. So he already doesn't have that much, I guess.
He's already in a way not hanging by a. But
he doesn't have much to bargain with. So if United go into December, January, like around Christmas time, and they're languishing in 12th, 13th place, he probably gets sacked because why would they keep him? Because he joined middle of the season last year, but he joined in October. And the season ended in May. So that's 7 months right there. Where I'm not saying they should have pushed for a title charge or even finished top 4. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that they could have at least finished maybe 7th, 8th. Because when Ten Hag got sacked, I believe they were 8th, but they were only 4 points off top 4. And then they finished 15th.
Yeah, and mind you, I think our perspective would have been quite a bit different if they managed to win the Europa League.
Yeah.
But because for whatever reason in the Europa League they were playing decent football. It wasn't very pleasing, but it was still decent football. But that loss really just
that was a kick in the
teeth,
schnaz.
Yeah, for Amorim and sort of the kind of football that he wants to play. So, and that being said, I mean, they haven't really made anything crazy. They got two obviously very solid attacking options in Mbeumo and Cunha. But overall, I think I could see it happening for sure. But in my opinion, I think that unless by January they're sitting at like 15th or in a relegation battle, then I don't see them sacking him.
Yeah, if they're finished, look, if they're top 10 by December, January, they keep him. Like, if they're like 8th, ninth, or whatever, yeah, they'd still keep him. But, like, if they're like languishing between, like I said, 10 and 15, so they're like 12th or 13th by the time Christmas comes around, I think he gets sacked. But, I mean, who knows?
For sure. So, hot take number 2 in the bag. Let us know what you guys think about that one. We're moving on to hot take number 3. This is one that I thought of and could be maybe considered a little controversial, maybe a little bit of recency bias. But I think that Chelsea are going to finish higher than Arsenal next year in the Premier League. Do I think that Chelsea are going to be like consistently in a title race? I don't think so personally. But it seems that in certain aspects, the pieces are falling for Chelsea. And I'll explain. So, Enzo Maresca, I think that in his tenure with Chelsea, and especially obviously coming off his Club World Cup victory, he has really managed to put an imprint on that team. And he's playing a style that he's comfortable with playing. Okay? The other thing is I feel like a lot of their players are now finding themselves and finding the way that they want to play. So Cole Palmer, he's on his day, right, is a star player. He's a world-class player. If he can bottle that energy and sort of push it into next season, I think he's a real threat. But mind you, he's playing next to Enzo Fernandez, who's also been playing really well.
And
Caicedo, who's been having himself an incredible season last season. And unless, God forbid, injuries come into play, I think that he can maintain that form because he is a quality player, right? And then the thing is, though, that Chelsea did, right, is they have Pedro Neto, which, mind you, I think he's pretty underrated. But that João Pedro guy that they signed from Brighton, he is, in my opinion, composure to a T. As in, he has not buckled under pressure. He played his former club. He performed, scored 2 absolute bangers against Fluminense, I believe it was. In the Champions League final, he chipped Donnarumma.
Club World Cup final. You silly man.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, Champions League final in Chelsea. Sorry. In the Club World Cup final, he chips Donnarumma. He's shown that in high pressure situations he can remain calm, and that's the kind of player that you want in those important title defining battles. So I think that is why. And mind you, defensively now they have actually reliable options. If Reece James can stay healthy, he's a very solid option for them.
Well, that's basically what I was gonna say. I feel like this season coming up, a lot of this season depends on, I think, 2 things. One, if João Pedro can keep up his form from the Club World Cup, and if Reece James can stay healthy, because the midfield is good. Their defense, for the most part, is pretty good. The one glaring issue they have is obviously their goalkeeper. But I mean, bro, Robert Sanchez looked like prime freaking Neuer in the Club World Cup final. The guy was springing passes, making saves, whatever. There was that. So it's dependent on their goalie, the fitness of Reece James, and also if João Pedro can maintain his form, because I disagree with your take. I still think Arsenal will finish above just because their core is a bit more settled than Chelsea's. And Arsenal's biggest thing is they were able to finish second. They've been able to do so well the last couple of years in the Prem without really a striker. And now they got a striker. Gyökeres, like Fabrizio gave the here we go this morning. So Gyökeres is going to Arsenal. Like, I know there was a few legal disputes and money issues, whatever, with Sporting, but that seems to have worked out. So they're getting Gyökeres. Not that I rate him that highly, but they got Madueke, who's, depth, I guess. They got Norgard, which is like decent depth, I guess, in the midfield.
Sure.
They got I keep forgetting his name, but the Valencia center back. He's someone that was linked to Barca as well, like a couple years ago. He's been in La Liga for a while. So they got him, and I mean they got Kepa as a backup goalie, and I mean they still might make 1 or 2 signings. So I still think Arsenal will finish above. I do think Chelsea, though. I think the Chelsea banter period for the last 3 years really is done, because they went through the horrible Graham Potter season, and they went through the horrible Pochettino season. Then they had the what was his name? Then they brought in Maresca, and then they finished last year 4th. Decent. Wasn't amazing campaign, but decent considering what they've been doing the last couple of years. Plus, 2 trophies, a Club World Cup and a Conference League. Whether people want to rate those trophies that highly or not is up to them, but 2 trophies is still 2 trophies. So I mean,
Yeah, and it's also important to note that in the grand scheme of the Premier League, I feel like Premier League sides in general have gotten weaker this transfer window. A lot of yeah,
I disagree. Weaker?
the mid table sides.
Yeah, maybe, but like if you look at, for example, like the top sides, I mean, quote
The
unquote,
top sides, yes.
like okay, I know
Yeah.
United were
But I'm
dog shit,
saying-
but United got a bit better. Obviously,
Yeah.
Liverpool, you guys got way better. Man City made signings, Arsenal made signings,
Yeah,
Chelsea
no,
made
but
signings.
on that level,
you know.
yeah. On the Big Six level, yeah. Obviously, Chelsea, Spurs, I think, also signed Kudus and
They signed Kudos. They
and
signed Morgan Gibbs White. They also got Thomas Frank as a new manager. So I mean,
yeah. So they've made some signings. So on the Big Six level, yeah, they're definitely more competitive. I'm talking about the Bournemouths, the Wolves, the Palaces, like these guys are going into next season. I would argue weaker.
Newcastle strengthened. I mean, they got Alanga from Forest.
Yeah.
And I mean, Palace, yeah, Eze might still go to Arsenal from Palace. We don't know, but that's the case. Yeah, I get that. Maybe like some of the mid-table teams did get weaker.
So
but
I think specifically like going into next season, it's going to be a lot more prevalent on the Big Six, in my opinion, than it was last season, where you were seeing the Forest in the title races, you were seeing the Newcastle, sort of, you know what I mean. So it'll be an interesting season. I think it'll be a competitive season, but I'm not a betting man, but I do fancy Chelsea going into next season to at least do better, in my opinion, than Arsenal. But you'll never know. We'll see. And one final thought before we move on to the final hot take for today. If Chelsea do finish over Arsenal in the Premier League table next season, should Arteta be sacked?
that depends on if they win a trophy. If they can win, let's say a Carabao Cup and an FA Cup and finish like, I don't know, third or fourth in the Prem and make a deep Champions League run, I think he keeps his job. But if Arsenal finished like third or fourth, got knocked out of the Champions League in like the round of 16 or I don't know, group stages, for example, and they don't win an FA Cup, don't win a Carabao Cup, but basically go trophyless again while regressing in the league and Champions League, then yeah, he gets sacked. Well, I don't know if he does because Arsenal owners are not the smartest people, but he should get sacked, yes.
For sure. All right, buddy. Hit us with your final hot take.
All right, so final hot take, talking about it earlier, is that I think the Club World Cup should be abolished. Now, this take does have a bit of a two sides to it. So I only think the Club World Cup should be abolished if they insist on keeping the Nations League. Now, I think one of those competitions should be abolished because otherwise it congests like the calendar too much. It creates way too many games for the players, a risk of injury, blah, 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 blah. Now, me personally, I would get rid of the Nations League, not the Club World Cup. But the Club World Cup, I feel like, is the one that's probably, I'm not going to say easier to abolish, but like it's the one that's the most controversial because a lot of fans weren't necessarily rocking with it. Towards the end of it, and even for me, myself, I started rocking with it a bit because obviously you had PSG Madrid and you had PSG Chelsea and whatever. But one of those competitions should be gotten rid of because it's going to create too many games and the players are going to get injured. And end of the day, I know it's the player's job to play whatever, but the thing is, if there's players that get injured, then that makes the product worse. Because I don't want to get to like a Champions League final or semifinal for like a team, and then half their players are injured because of too many games. Then it just makes the product more boring. Like that's what we had with Barca and Inter last year, where Barca were missing three of their star striker and their two fullbacks. And they ended up losing to Inter, or games like Bayern where they lost to Inter by 1 goal and they had to play without Upamecano, Musiala, Alphonso Davies, whatever. So I think one of those competitions should be abolished. I did say the Club World Cup. I personally would rather the Nations League, but I feel the Club World Cup is a bit easier just because in general players like to play for their national team. They really do. But at the same time, players really like money, and the Club World Cup does, give them money. So we'll have to see. But one of them should be abolished, is my point.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think it depends on what kind of fan you are. I think one of the things that has pissed me off a little bit is the fact that Chelsea go around and call themselves the world champions. I think that's BS.
Yeah.
Because Chelsea didn't play against the best teams in the world. In the sense that, they played against PSG. Mind you, they won. That's amazing, right? But there are so many clubs, right, in the world that didn't even get to compete in this
Yeah, like Barca, Liverpool, Arsenal. There's like I know they're not that good nowadays, but Juventus weren't there.
No, they were. Juve was there.
Wait, Juve was there?
Yeah, Juve was there. But AC Milan and for example.
Wait, swear Juve was there?
Yeah, Madrid beat them. Was it?
Oh yeah, Man City. Yeah. Man City beat them.
Was it Man City?
It was. Yeah. Man City played. Okay. Yeah, I forgot. But the point is, like a lot of the big teams in the world weren't there. Obviously, the biggest team of them all, Barca. But
But as much as I disagree with that point specifically, I think that there is obviously something to be said about how valid like now Chelsea going into next season get to wear the fucking world champion badge. It's just anyway. I think from that aspect, it's a little silly.
It's done because the formatting needs to be the Club World Cup. The people who qualify for the Club World Cup should be the league champions of their leagues, because that's how you really determine who the world champion is. Because you have the champion, like for example, this year would have been Barca would have been there, Liverpool would have been there, you would have had Bayern, you would have had Napoli. Because Napoli weren't even there either, were they? They weren't, exactly. You'd have Napoli and you'd have PSG. Then you have the league champion from Brazil, Mexico, whatever. So then you have the league champions of all these teams. That way, the actual winner of the Club World Cup can be like, okay, world champion, because, they played against the best teams, quote unquote, right? But like having teams like Chelsea who finished, fourth this year, but then last year were finishing like 8th, 9th, the year before they finished 12th and stuff like that. And having like teams like Juventus who haven't been that good in the last like 4 or 5 years and stuff like that. Like, I don't know.
Mind you, listen, I maintain this stance. I was actually perfectly happy that Liverpool weren't competing because I wanted my team to obviously to rest.
Yeah, same with me.
But there is, I still think there is something to say about like what you can actually label yourself after winning that. That's one. The other thing is, I'd actually be curious to know what draws more money.
I think Club World Cup just because it was advertised a lot. Plus, it was in the U.S.
Yeah, fair
so
enough.
I think that it was plus, like obviously, like draws enough money because look at, for example, the final was played in a stadium that's like 85,000 capacity, and each ticket was at least like a 300-400.
So listen, this is what I'll say, because I place a lot of value in clubs that perhaps don't get a lot of recognition, having that opportunity to do so. So I actually think that that's really awesome that happened, and clubs in Brazil, for example, got a lot of recognition. So I would keep the Club World Cup, but I would abolish Nations League, but extend that to say I would reduce the number of international games in general, because I feel that on a whole, people like players specifically complained about the international duty the most. Not because they don't want to play for their country, that's not what it is, but it's the consistent friendlies and stuff like that.
And it's traveling all over the world.
Yeah, and it places certain players at a more disadvantage than others. So like if you're French and you play in the Prem, and you got to go to France for international duty, all right, bet like it isn't what like. But if you're a Brazilian, Argentinian, and you got to go to South America during international duty, and then be expected to come back to England or come back to, like, it's a lot, right? And so there's a disparity I think it creates with certain players, and So I think there is a way to level out the playing field, but I wouldn't abolish Club World Cup. I would try to reduce the international games. But that's just my opinion, guys. Please let us know what you think about not just this hot take, but all the hot takes that we talked about today. And remember, your opinions matter, so please leave your hot takes in the comment section, or better than that, join the Ballers Academy Discord, where we have our own hot takes section where you can drop all your hot takes. You can drop your suggestions for videos that you want to see made by us. We're very open to community feedback. So please let us know. The Ballers Academy Discord link will be in the description of this video. So go check it out below. If you're not already a baller on every one of our platforms, guys, all you got to do is look up Basement Ballers on virtually every platform. You're going to see his face. You're going to see my face. Probably, maybe at some points, you're going to see us together. You're going to see us live streaming. Basement Ballers. Follow us now before following us becomes a trend. I promise you. But without further ado, guys, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you next week. Peace.